you. Yay! Welcome to our
Hey.
D&D dive at D&D in a Castle. I'm Tara Rout, founder of D&D in a Castle, and I'm so excited to be chatting with Alicia Marie today
Yay.
about dungeon mastering at D&D in a Castle this summer. Welcome, Alicia. So excited to have you.
I'm so excited for next year. I'm excited to be here. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. Yay. That video just
Yay!
made me so psyched seeing everyone get off the
We're gonna
shuttle.
have a good time. Yes. You know what? We need to make a similar video to that for the USA because that is D&D in a Castle UK, where all that was filmed. And we just last year did our first USA D&D in a Castle. And so we need to put together a similar epic video to share the beauty of the American castle and setting and everything. So you are coming to D&D in a Castle USA next summer, June 29th to July
Yes.
3rd. Half your tickets are already sold, so you already have sold out. There's only a couple tickets left at your table. I can tell you that. So if you want to play with Alicia, you better click the little code in the top left, or scan, I should say, the QR code there, or come find us on dndinacastle.com and book those spots if you even can. I don't even know if you can because I think the event itself might be sold out. So this is just for fun then. This is just for fun. So welcome to our deep dive. We're going to find out all about you, Alicia, and about your game and about your thoughts on D&D. Actually, a lot of people watch these to get to know the Dungeon Masters, get to know the campaigns that we have for offer, people who are already coming to the event, and find out, figure out which game they think would suit them the best. So tell us what you have planned for your players next summer.
Okay, so this is something I struggle with because I love the element of surprise, but I also know that as a player first, I like to build a character that I feel like can do some damage or at least be effective in the game or the campaign that the DM is bringing. So I have to struggle with that as a player, what I really want, and also as a DM, like I want to surprise them. So that's what I was thinking. I was like, what should I reveal about the campaign today in this live stream so that people at least know what they're getting themselves into and maybe they're excited to come play my table. For one thing I wanted to say first is I absolutely I can't sing. I love being a DM because I love being a player, but I absolutely love being a DM because I like watching what the players do. And I've spoken so much about when you're creating, especially what I like, which are spooky themed stories. I like it. I love spooky themed stories because I've always liked scary and creepy things. So one of the things about creating a scary story is you have to remember you're creating a story where characters are going to come in, and these characters have fought dragons and kobolds and beholders and other monsters. They're not really going to be scared of anything, are they? But the players are scared of things. The characters may not be scared of it, but the players can be scared of things. So there are fun things you can throw in the game that will creep out the people playing the characters who are like, I'm not scared of that. You know what I mean? So it's like whenever I'm running a game that's scary, I play both sides of that sort of line, character versus player fear. Okay, so my game is called The Clockwork Bastion. Now, The Clockwork Bastion. Now, this is actually like a trilogy. This campaign is a trilogy.
Ooh.
This is actually the third installment. One thing I'm going to do next year is I'm going to run everyone through all of them.
Nice.
So, but I'm calling it by the third installment, just because it's the culmination sort of thing.
Yeah, it's the
So
conclusion.
next summer,
You can end on an ending. Yeah.
Yes, but it's really like 3 different books. So I'm really excited because they'll be the first people to get the end. So I'm really excited. But yeah, okay, so let me go back to revealing something about it. Okay, I can tell you this. The adventurers will be traveling to an area that is based around the Forgotten Realms, Faerun, but I made it up.
Okay,
So
cool.
get a Forgotten Realms map I could show you where it is, but don't quote me on the history of the area because I made it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
It's
Homebrew
called the Great
setting a
Dominion.
little bit.
You what?
Homebrew,
Oh yeah.
not quite whole setting, but place.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's set in Faerun Forgotten Realms, the area I can point it out to you, but I've renamed it the Grey Dominion, and it's an
Okay.
area that has gone bad. And your adventurers are obviously fearless and would do anything, even if they were getting paid, yeah, right, to go and handle what is happening there. What is happening there at first when you get in the game, you have an idea. And I've seen like the beginning part of this campaign played, and I've seen how everyone totally falls into the, oh, I think I know what's going on here. I kind of know what's happening. But as they go through, I love watching their face change. They're like this, huh? Oh, it's so much fun. And the part that specifically that the D&D in a castle will be playing is the topsy-turvy. Oh, I just love all of this. I'm really excited to see what they do. I'm excited.
So it's going to be creepy, but not necessarily horror, or is it going to be kind of horror? Is there any body horror? Just for like people who are like, ooh, I don't know about body horror or about whatever, is it, what kinds of dark could you characterize it as so people can sort of assess their interest?
I mean, it's definitely dark. It's more paranormal, psychological thriller. It's not slasher. There are things that are I like to put in the category of psychological thriller, paranormal. So yeah. So it's I mean, we have our lines and veils of people are definitely things that they don't want to talk about or have in the game. We can definitely discuss that. I stay away from sensitive things because I know how people feel about it. But my campaign is definitely for people who like to bring well-rounded characters, so that they can. And I always ask my players if they can give me some things about their character's backstory, because this is a story that we're writing together, right? We're telling it together, and we're playing it together. So I have a series of questions I have to ask every player at my table, because I need to use some of your stuff in the story, because it's going to help me weave something that's more exciting and immersive for you, the player. This is about you, not about me. I'm just putting the sandbox out there. It's your job to jump in it and play in it.
Right.
Yeah.
And we talked you and I one-on-one before. We talked about what kind of DM you are, what kind of dungeon master, and I took the impression that you are what I would call an escapist dungeon master, not an escapologist. Not that you're trying to escape from things, although you are, but not like in a Harry Houdini kind of way, but in a escapism kind of way, because some dungeon masters are really into well, D&D as like a very can be very emotional, and bringing in trauma and making people cry. I mean, everybody cries anyway, whatever. That's not really either here nor there, but everybody laughs even when it's really traumatic. That's kind of the therapy. But, the escapist version of D&D of like, we are just getting out of here. Like, we're going to go to a fantasy land. We are just going to have some fun that's not connected to anything real. So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
So the way that I break campaigns down is I have these things in my mind that I call stages. And it helps me also with timing. Like when I know that, okay, the players have to get to this point so that we can get to this point by the end of the campaign. So I know when I'm running through. So the players, people who play with me, they start getting used to this idea of stages. Like, oh, we made it to the next stage. It's basically like if you're reading a big, thick book like Lord of the Rings or like the Thomas Chronicles, like chapters. We reach the next chapter, and it's like a milestone. And so I get excited. I'm like, you've reached stage 4. They go, ah! They're all so excited because it's like you have to graduate. And there's always something lurking behind the door. There's always something in everything, every stage you're in. And this is what I tell my players, every stage you're in, everything's interactive on every stage. So if you're wondering, oh, maybe I shouldn't touch that because maybe that's just nothing. I'm such a lunatic with my games and with the interactiveness of every room. It's because I play too many video games, and I hate when I go in a game and I want to like touch something and it does nothing. That drives me nuts.
Right.
This is why Baldur's Gate is so good, because Baldur's Gate, mostly everything's interactive. Everything in the game should be interactive. So I actually have something going on behind I'm trying to think. I'm speaking carefully because I don't want to give anything away. But I'm just like, as a player, feel free to come to my table and just be you. If you were in that room and you saw this, and this, what would you do? But don't be scared, because we're here to have fun. I'm not here necessarily to kill you, but the land that the adventurers are going to, I mean, it's scary. It's dark. I want you to think. I want you to, even though we're having fun, I want you to take it seriously. I want you to, think before you make a decision. But in general, the game is for you. It's for your character to do something exciting, to make to make some core memories that we can leave Ohio in next summer and talk about like for the rest of the year. Remember the time my character did this? Like, I still laugh at some of the things my players did a month ago.
I think these memories, they go well beyond the year. There are guests of D&D the Castle or player groups who have literally novelized their campaign and published it for posterity. I mean, I say published it, they didn't publish it. I mean, printed it for themselves, in a bound format. So these are special. There we go. These are special memories.
That was book one. I'm not going to break through.
Yeah. Question: how did you get into dungeon mastering? Well, how did you get into D&D in the first place? What drew you to D&D and to dungeon mastering in particular? You've said you love to watch people in the story, but what brought you into the world of D&D? How did you get into this hobby?
Okay, so this is a really a long, convoluted story, and I tend to be long-winded when I'm doing interviews. So if I'm going off on a tangent, go ADHD, Alicia, let's roll it back. Okay.
Well, this is a deep dive, so that's the point. This is your chance.
Okay, so I've pretty much always been interested in D&D, but it's one of those things where when you're trying to find people who want to play, that's really hard. Especially, now there are resources where you can find groups and tables to play at. But back in the day, it was, if you didn't have any friends who were cool, or you grew up in a very I don't know what, Christian conservative area where it's that's the devil. You couldn't even go. It was people who played D&D were must be into the occult or something. And I was So I've always been interested in it, the Saturday morning cartoons, stuff like that. As I got older, moved to LA, people started streaming D&D every now and again, and I started losing my hearing in my 20s. And that sort of, I gave myself a complex about being able to play and not being able to hear the storytellers, not being able to hear my fellow players. So I pretty much just said, I'm just going to be a watcher. I'll just watch people play. I met two people that are in the business. One of them is BJ Walters, and I met TJ Storm and Team Phoenix. And all three of them in different times were how come you're not playing? And I was oh, I don't know if I can. And they were just play. And I was no. During the pandemic, I actually got cochlear implant surgery on both ears. So my hearing went from 5%, 10% to 98, 99. And I'm a robot. I'm walking technology, but it was obviously life-changing. I realized even after the cochlear implants, I totally could have played. I could have played even before the cochlear implants. People were just play. But I realized how much I was keeping myself running from, and how much I missed out on just being afraid to do it and worrying that people weren't going to like my characters. We get in our own head. People aren't going to like my characters. They're going to think I'm a terrible player. But once I started, I hit the ground running. I played all through the pandemic. But even as I played campaign after campaign, charity event after game, jumped into everything I possibly could because I was having a ball, I always watched the DMs thinking, I want to do that though. I want to do that now. And I was talking to a friend of mine this is why the story, who's a producer at Hyper RPG. And she was like, why don't you just DM a game? Just come on the channel and DM one. I was like, but I've never done it before. They're like, do it live. And I was like, okay, so the first game I did were live. But that's where it was born. Like, so I've been doing a ton of DMing, 1-shots, 2-shots. I've not been able to run like a massively long campaign. That is definitely the goal, but it's usually time, and then time. But I've been able to run a couple of really fun campaigns, 6 episodes. So my goal is just to do more DMing than playing, even though I like playing. I want to see what you do. I like watching people. I like watching people.
It's like another level of people watching when you're DMing because you're also pulling all the strings, watching them react.
I love the whole idea of like, can I like go across the room and open that door? Like, you're asking me like I'm your friend? Are you asking me like I'm the DM? What are you at? Like, oh no, I guess I'm gonna open the door. I'm like, okay then.
Open the door.
That always makes me laugh. It's very, and then at the end, we always have that like little bit of, what are some things that we didn't do that you thought we would do? And I'm like, well, yeah, there was something over there. And I mean, I don't like railroading. So I'm like, if they don't open that door, if they don't lift up that thing, if they don't open that jar, if they don't do this, blah, 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 then I usually don't bring it. There's enough things in the next stage that I don't need to bring something in. Yeah, all my games, like they're so interwoven that I can make it to the end without moving things. And I think that's just because I'm slightly ADHD, but also like really hyper and very detail oriented. So I absolutely love when people come in with their backstories. And, I had a player once say, my character inherited something from her family, but she doesn't know what it is. And I was like, oh, I love you. Oh, yeah. I know what your character inherited, and it's going to affect everyone in the party. Like a wicked witch. I was flying around the room on a broom. I was so excited. So yeah, I love it. The players, if you have ideas, you want to throw them at me, let's go. Let's go.
Awesome. I had a question, which I totally forgot to ask you because I was paying so much attention to what you were saying. Someone asked, from a time outside modern history, I think that was earlier when you were talking about redoing the world or sort of restructuring it. Is it from a time outside modern history?
Nope. It's actually set in the same time. It's just like I used the map just so people would feel like they were in a comfortable area. And they know if they had some points of reference. Yeah. They're like, okay. I'm like, I pull up the map. I always take it. I'm like, here's where you are. But something's happened over there. So I had them, I tell them before the game, like if we have a little session 0, like before we get started, I'm like, why would I need you to know why your character would take this gig. Like, why? Why would anyone take anything? Why would you do it? So you have to come up with an idea. Other than that, details about your character, always welcome. I know that before I started DMing, I used to read Reddits and people were like, oh, I can't stand it when people come to me with 5-page backstories, 1-page, 2-page. I'm like, just give me whatever you want and we'll use in the story or not. It's totally up to you and what you're comfortable with. But I'm definitely not one of those DMs that does not like detailed backstories, because I'm a detailed backstory person for my characters. So I love seeing like who I'm going to be meeting in this game, what your character can do, and we're low enough level where it isn't a complete like blast out. Like, when with characters are just a little bit too high, it almost becomes like we're gods and we can do anything. So there's no intrigue or fear really when you can do everything. I can disappear and go underground. Who cares?
Right?
No.
You cannot. Ultimately, it's up to the DM. Am I right? It's right in the book. DM decides, the ultimate decider. Someone says doors are the most scary thing in any campaign.
I
Since you
know,
mentioned
right?
doors. Right.
Like,
But it
they're
sounds
like
like
sit there, and I'm like, so you guys gonna go in, and they're looking at me like this.
they're trying to read you. Like, should we go
Yeah, and I'm
in?
like,
I don't know. Is this a terrible idea?
I'm like, it's cold and scary out here. You don't want to go in. They're like, well, hold on. And they turn to like, what do you feel? I'm like, this is hysterical. But I do understand. I mean, it's kind of like life or death. Like, are we going to make a decision on how we're going to open the door? They're like, maybe we should go to the back and climb through a window. That has always been the best part about being a DM, is just watching the problem solving. And that's extremely underrated for me, just to sit back and watch the problem solving. Like what? Like I remember I had the simplest idea I had once. This is going back a few stories ago. They're in this, I don't know, area they transported to, and they're walking down a dirt road in a forest. They're walking and walking. They come upon this giant hill. And it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Imagine it's like half a mountain. It's really big. So you can either go to the right around the mountain, dirt road, and on the right, there's forest over here. You can go around. It's like, I don't know, 4 blocks. This way to the left, you can go around it. And I don't know, it's like 4 blocks. So you can climb over it. Like you see a big hill in the middle road. What do you do? What do you guys want to do? What are you going to do? You have to get around it. They're like, 1 second. They're conferring with each other. I'm not even listening. They're like, we'd like to go under it. So they're like digging out tunnels. I was like, oh my God. What? I was like, and that's the first time I remember thinking, players do whatever they want. They don't do like, and that was one of my first times DMing. So that's when I realized what you think people are going to do, they're probably not going to do. So you have to have like offshoots in your head if this. And then I realized how to do that, like how to recreate those offshoots like in a flash, because the players are never going to do what you want them to do, what you think they're going to do. Always do something different. And I also learned like with puzzles, like for me, I love puzzles, but I'm not massively into puzzles because I feel like if they're too difficult, it takes the people out of their characters and becomes them. They get sort of like, it becomes like, I came to play, not go to school. God, I feel stupid. And I don't want people to feel stupid at my table. So make it fun, easy. Make sure the puzzle make sure the puzzle itself, if it's in the story, then it makes sense in the story. It's not thrown in there just to confuse people.
Just to give a puzzle. Yeah. And so, so Alicia, what is it that made you want to come to D&D in a Castle? What about D&D in a Castle made you excited? Other than the words D&D in a Castle? I mean, that's kind of a given. That's kind of obvious to me. But for you, was there anything beyond just D&D in a Castle that drew you to it?
Terror in a castle. No, so I've seen you guys' advertisements, and I've seen friends who are DMs and players who've been going to D&D Castle for a bit. And I'm like, this seems like it would be crazy to actually play Dungeons and Dragons in a castle. So you literally feel like you're doing the thing. And then it's like, it's a vacation. So you're there and you're with other people who are really obviously really into the game and want to play like at this level. It's for me, it's the entirety of the immersion of the thing, if that makes any sense. So that's what it really was for me. I, as a DM, wanted to do something like this. I like the idea of taking the game, taking the campaign, and just putting us in there. So that the surroundings, the feelings, I feel like the more in it, the more it just heightens your senses when you're playing. I want us all to be in there, like feeling like we're playing a game, but we're there. The sounds, the smells. We're in a castle, we're all together, and that's all we're doing. I mean, how can this not be the most fun thing ever? You get up in the morning, you're playing D&D. You go to bed. You get up in the morning, you're playing D&D. What? This is like, I mean, for me and for other people that are really into the game, this is like a dream vacation. And the fact that there's now one here in the USA for people who just, maybe they can't go overseas, you know, maybe their families or whatever, they can't go. It's perfect for us who want to, you know, start off here in the US and maybe go into the UK for the next one. You never know, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, the two castles, they're so different. So, you know, we have people who come to both locations, and it's the same core experience. The core of the experience is really, it's the thing you don't, you know, you get to play D&D all day, you get to be in a castle, you get to be on vacation, and it's amazing. And the game is really at the core of all of that in terms of what makes it super magical. And the consequence, the result that you get is this community that's built on that. That's sort of an unexpected thing, you know, that this community experience emerges out of that. And that's the real gold elixir, you know, that comes out of all of that as well. So you're there, you're having the fun, you're having the vacation, and then you're part of this sort of family that the castle becomes this real community vibe that then you just, it's kind of like summer camp when you're a kid, and then you just cry and cry when you have to go home, and all you can think about is how to come back again. I love my people, but I can't live without you. What's happening right now?
Oh yeah, it is. It's like adult sleepaway camp.
Yeah, it kind of is. But also it's kind of D&D heaven. Like everything that you could want from D&D for that number of days is a thing. So yeah. But I'm going to ask you, Alicia, first of all, we've been talking with Alicia Marie about her campaign, The Clockwork Bastion, which she is offering at D&D in a Castle USA this summer, June 29th to July 3rd. And Alicia, we didn't get even to talk about all your many accomplishments and who you are. We'll have to do another one because you've got some cool stuff that you are in, but we are out of time. But you can just trust me and trust your instinct that Alicia Marie is amazing and is very cool, and you definitely want to play in her campaign. There are only 3 spots left in her table. I don't even know if you can get one, but why don't you take us out, as we usually do, to invite the players to join your campaign at D&D in a Castle with an enticing inducement to sign up for your table. And then other than that, we will see you at the castle.
See you at the castle. I really think that you need to bring your smartest, bravest adventurers. If you think you can, join me at my table at D&D in a Castle next summer, because there are things that I need your help to solve, and only you can do it. So I'll see you next summer in Ohio. D&D in a Castle.
Amazing. We'll see you all at the castle. We see you at the castle. Thank you for joining us, Alicia. And if anybody has any further questions, feel free to follow up by email. We have a live chat on our website, and you can find us on all the socials at D&D in a Castle. And we will see you this summer. Roll high.